What's going on, moviegoers? If you're new to the channel, my name is Christian and welcome to SeaWorld Productions. Movie theaters can begin to open as early as June 12th, Friday. Interesting take. Now, a lot of people were wondering when are movie theaters going to be opening, or even if movie theaters will even come back into business. I know AMC is still on the verge of going bankrupt and not even opening their doors, which is terrifying. I can't imagine not having AMC ever reopen their doors here. I just can't. Like it's insane when you really think about it. Especially with films like in July that are really going to be like the first big blockbuster summer films that were supposed to be hitting theaters. I know Tenet and everybody who's really excited about it, who can't wait to see it in theaters, and you have some people who are still hesitant and be like, oh well, I'll wait. That's why I've seen some people on the verge of like, well, they can release it in theaters and they can also release it on VOD for the people who don't feel comfortable being in a movie theater with people. And I understand that aspect of it as well. I do. But I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, 25% capacity is going to be allowed for when movie theaters decide to reopen. That is the interesting part. 25% capacity. That is nothing. Like when you think about it, that is nothing. 25%? That is like, I can't see any kind of movie coming out this year with only a limit of 25% capacity making any kind of money. That means that Tenet is gonna have to literally play in theaters all year to kind of even break even. And I'm pretty sure with the whole CDC guidelines and things like that, there's going to have to be time in between show times for them to clean theaters thoroughly, sanitize, disinfect, things of that nature. And that can take us some time. And you're going to lose some show times while doing that. I mean, you obviously have to take proper precautions to make sure, your customers are, they have that sense of feeling of, okay, I can go into this theater and I know that, these workers here have cleaned and sanitized, my seat, so I feel comfortable watching this movie right now in this theater. So it's going to be interesting to see what really happens. June 12th is Friday. They can open up as early as June 12th. But I heard that Regal, AMC, and other theaters aren't going to be opening that early. I think they're going to be opening up in July. I think July 1st will be the first date for movie theaters to be open. But I do think that movie theaters, honestly, should use this little time before July to do some test runs. You know what I mean? Like try things out. Obviously you have employees who are still employed there. Test things out, see how they do. You know what I mean? Employees have family, invite them to screenings, things like that, where they can kind of do a test run to see how they can really, anchor this move in reopening movie theaters. I mean, I miss movie theaters. Movie theaters have always been therapeutic for me. I love going to the movie theaters. And especially since there were so many movies that were going to be coming out, but this summer, I was just so hyped. And then when they shut down movie theaters, I was just bummed. And I was like, damn it. I was like, my son's going to be born in the next couple of weeks. And I had planned to see so many movies before he was going to get here. And then all of that just got fucking derailed. And literally, my last movie I saw, I think, was The Invisible Man. And it's a huge bummer. So I highly doubt I'll even be able to see Tenet when it comes out in July. But it's just going to be interesting to see what really happens. I mean, let me read you guys some of this article from The Hollywood Reporter because they're reporting on it. California allows movie theaters to reopen June 12th with restrictions. For the first 2 weeks, cinemas are expected to operate at 25% capacity, sources say. Okay, for the first 2 weeks. So it seems like they're going to be doing like a test run kind of thing. Movie theaters in California have begun to reopening as early as June 12th with strict social distancing measures in place for at least the first 2 weeks, according to a new industry guidance document issued by the state of California on Monday. A host of other safety measures are also recommended. Anxious movie theater owners and Hollywood studios are being given the go-ahead to flip on the lights later this week by California Governor Gavin office and the Department of Public Health. This means that Warner Brothers may still be able to launch Christopher Nolan's Tenet in cinemas July 17th as originally planned. Cinemas have been closed across the country since March 20th because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The state is requiring that theaters limit capacity to 25% or no more than 100 people in the auditorium, whichever is less, sources say. If all that goes well, this rule is expected to relax after about 2 weeks, giving the exhibitors enough time to ramp up before the tenant arrives. So that kind of makes sense. So with the whole 2 weeks, it seems like they're going to be giving it a test run and to see how that whole 25% capacity goes, and with the strict CDC guidelines of sanitation and things of that nature, and the whole social distancing. I doubt. I think we can do 50%. I think they can do 50% and still kind of practice social distancing by having every other seat available, or every other two seats available, for the capacity of the auditorium. I mean, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. I mean, damn, like you think about, even if they did 50% of the theater, that's still 50% of movie ticket sales lost for the studio and the movie theater. And that is a huge, significant amount of number. I mean, especially right now, movie theaters want to reopen so, they can make some kind of money. Like, movie theaters are struggling right now. They really are. I mean, the studios they're fine. They were able to release some of their films on VOD to kind of make some kind of profit off their movies. But movie theaters don't get any of that profit. They really don't. Or and if they do, it's a small percentage of the profit. The whole, ordeal with the whole Trolls and Universal Pictures and AMC, things like that. Obviously AMC was very upset that, they were capitalizing off VOD and like, hey, we're over here drowning and we had this contract, this agreement, and you hop on out of that and you're making money. Great, cool. But what about us? We have people we have to feed. We have, lights we have to keep on. You know what I mean? We have to pay these mortgages and things like that. And they were kind of frustrated with that whole ordeal. And that's why they're not going to be playing any kind of Universal films in their theaters, which I understand. I get it from both parties. I really do. But I still think there is going to be a common ground met somewhere in the future to have Universal films played at AMC theaters. AMC is literally the biggest movie theater chain in America. So I definitely think that, Universal is going to have to break and come out with an apology and figure something out. I really do. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens, man. I mean, I wonder if people are still going to feel comfortable enough to go out to a movie theater, because there's still a lot of people afraid right now, and people are saying that we might get a second wave of the whole COVID-19, and with the protesting, a lot of people out and not practicing social distancing, things like that. So people are expected to get a second wave of this pandemic, and it's just really unfortunate if it comes to fruition. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, you have, The Tenant comes out July 17th. You have Mulan July 24th, and you have SpongeBob the movie August 7th. You have Wonder Woman 1984 that drops August 14th. Then you have Bill and Ted Face the Music on August 21st. Then you have The New Mutants August 28th. A Quiet Place September 4th, and The Conjuring. Still haven't even seen the trailer for that. That's September 11th. There's still a lot of good movies coming out this year, and I still hope that, people are able to experience them in theaters. Obviously, that's why Warner Brothers and Christopher Nolan are really pushing for their film to be released in theaters, because it needs to be seen in theaters, filmed in IMAX cameras. You just won't get that experience, that you'll get in the theaters at home. Realistically, you just won't, especially for a film like that. This is Christopher Nolan's highest budget film from The Tenant. You would think it would be like The Dark Knight, but no, it's The Tenant at $205 million, which is going to be, hopefully they make some kind of profit, releasing the film in theaters, because that's a very, very expensive movie, a original movie, might I add. But it's going to be interesting what happens. I mean, post your comments down below. Do you guys feel comfortable with going to the movie theaters? If so, what capacity would you like to see given by these movie theaters? Is 25% too low, or should they bump it up to 50 to 75%, still practicing social distancing? Please, you guys, I'm curious to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the whole, sanitizing and things of that nature? What would you like to see movie theaters do in order to keep you guys safe and healthy and comfortable to see movies in movie theaters? All right, you guys, thank you for taking time out of your day for watching CO Productions. Peace.
We out.